Welcome back to Wake Up America. Supply chain issues getting worse, ships stuck waiting to dock, and our economy is in a holding pattern. Now, many were asking, where is Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg until yesterday? So for that PR perspective, let's bring in CEO of Alison May Public Relations, also the co-host of Wake Up America Weekend, Alison Maloni. And for the financial side, business and market analyst Seth Denson. Good morning to you both.
Hey, good morning.
Now, Alison, Pete Buttigieg started reappearing, making the rounds on the Sunday talk shows. Do you think from a PR perspective that this was just a PR stunt, if you will, or do you think maybe he should have come out of the gate for the past couple months and said, hey, you know what, I'm taking paternity leave, I'm going to be out for a little while, here's who's in charge, let's move forward, and it wouldn't be as much of a discussion? Or is it hard to get mad at someone who's trying to take care of their family?
Well, you should be his publicist, Rachel, because what you just said is exactly what he should have done, right? Just said, I'm on paternity leave, this person's in charge, I'm going to take phone calls, I'll be available, but count on this person to handle this crisis, but he didn't. And so we saw last week with the media reacting to where is he. So he did come out yesterday. He did defend what he's doing. But the problem with all of these interviews, Rachel, he didn't offer any solutions for this crisis. He just basically said, well, it is what it is, and don't expect it to get better anytime soon, which is not what you want to do when you're in that role.
And Seth, I want to talk about some of those solutions. Consumer spending up 20% from 2019. Holiday season right around the corner. We still, of course, have issues with the global supply chain. Those are getting worse. I was flying into Los Angeles this past weekend, and I saw all those cargo ships just waiting at the port from the sky. And it was almost a, whoa, what's happening down there, until I realized what it was. And it's wild. What could Buttigieg do to fix this problem?
Well, first thing, recognize when you're in over your skis. And I think that's the whole concern here with Mayor Pete. Now, Secretary Pete was he really the right fit for the job? Whether or not he was, he's got the job. So you get out ahead of it. You recognize the things that you need help on, and you engage and you mobilize. I want to know who he was taking those calls with, right? Was he talking to the private sector? Was he talking to people like Crane International? Some of these other major logistics companies to understand supply chain mechanics. Was he talking about potentially mobilizing the National Guard if necessary? Was he talking to trucking companies and saying, hey, here's how we could structure maybe tax breaks or fuel subsidies to try to get the truckers rolling? There are a number of things you can do to unpackage this supply chain challenge. Was he doing any of these, and has he outlined any of these? I haven't heard of them. I've heard the Biden administration come out and kind of demonize the private sector, saying they're going to call them out. But are they calling them, period? That's what we need to know.
No, it's almost as if when he got in front of the cameras, he almost led to more questions. Okay, if you weren't doing it, who was, and what exactly were they doing? Now, something we know he was talking about was pushing President Biden's Build Back Better plan. Let's take a listen to that.
It's important work, and it's work that every American ought to be able to do when they welcome a new child into their family. I campaigned on that, so did the president. The Build Back Better agenda includes provisions for paid family leave.
Now, Alison, again, do you think this was just a way to divert attention into something that people were talking about and change the conversation, again, on where is he, what is he doing, and then he comes out and just kind of makes it super family focused?
Absolutely. This is their goal. This is a lot of Democrats' goal, to control the narrative and to spin it, right? And so let's forget what I'm being called out for, and let's focus on this bill. Because you can imagine every Democrat, I would assume they all probably got a memo. Anytime you're on TV or doing an interview, we need to push this. This is the agenda. We heard Biden last week talking Connecticut. He didn't talk about the supply chain crisis. He talked about this bill. That is their goal. And that was a great way for him to spin and get the heat off of him and focus on this bill for Biden.
You know, and something that keeps getting brought up throughout the day of everyone saying they understand the importance of leave. I mean, I just took maternity leave. I'm not going to go without saying that, but I'm also not in charge of the global supply chain. Now, Seth, real quickly, we have about 30 seconds left. Is this something that could have been prevented in regards to that supply chain crisis?
We'll never know how much it could have been prevented, but certainly conversations needed to have started a year ago when many of us were coming on air and saying, hey, there's going to be a supply chain challenge because there's what's called the bullwhip effect. And this Christmas, I will tell you, when your kids are opening nothing for Christmas, you can tell them that's okay because, you know, Secretary Pete got to spend a couple extra days with his kid.
Everybody gets coal, Seth, from you, right? Better not.
No. We were planning ahead here, so we'll be ready.
Oh,
and everybody's getting a copy of, you know, this.
Of Alison Maloni's new book. Mine's in the mail, so I'll be getting those as well. All right, Alison Maloni, Seth Denson, all the time we have this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
We'll be right back. Stick with us.